This is 99% craps.
Hard 10, hard 10. There's the number.
I'll take the full odds on the 10, 200 on the hard way. The limit on all the numbers, 250 on the 11. Thank you very much.
Say, you played this game before.
Just once.
Welcome to the Red Eye Gamblers podcast. High above the second largest city, west of the Mississippi. Two chronic craps players, talking craps, playing craps, thinking craps. This is 99% craps.
Coming up on our 19th episode of 99% Craps, we're on our way to the craps tables in Lake Charles, Louisiana. We review our trip goals for this 24-hour trip, discuss downswings, craps cities, and craps season, plus talk about distractions, experience, and getting out of holes. But first, we start with today's strategy. Wednesday, September 25th, 2019, episode 19. The Red Eye Gamblers present 99% Craps. And welcome back. We're on another trip to Lake Charles to go to the Golden Nugget and Isle of Capri and LAUBERGE casinos. So what do you plan on doing today? Are you actually gonna have a strategy, or
Well, you know, in my head, I think it's really a lot different when we go for a day trip or we go for an extended trip, you know, overnight or something, because I just feel like when I'm going to be at a table for an hour and a half to 2 hours, as opposed to if I could be at a table for 6 or 8 hours over the day, I feel like I can try to be a little bit more selective as I'm playing.
Sure.
And not play every turn and try to wait for those swings at the table. You know, when you can feel that momentum and the karma building up at a table and you feel like it's going positive, then start playing instead of trying to play through the whole table and its ups and downs. Just really trying to play on the times that you feel it's really positive. Or when it's really negative, play appropriately. I mean, we know how to play both sides.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I feel like when we go for an overnight, I feel like we have more. We're not in.
We can be more selective.
Not that we're in a rush on a day trip, but
we are on a time limit.
We are on a time limit, and so on a trip like this, I feel like, you know, if I walk up to a table and I'm standing there for a while and it's pretty choppy, and then we start seeing 2-3 rollers in a row that have really had good rolls. And you see that, hopefully sometimes you can sense it when it starts feeling really good, and just that's when I want to be able to play. You know, try not to play on the downswings, try to only play on the upswings, because the downswings are how we get down.
Well,
you know,
yeah.
I mean,
hence the name.
Yes, but you know, I mean, if we can manage to play the majority of our money on times that we feel like the table's really doing well. Because it goes in cycles. I mean, we definitely know that. You know, it's each person for 5 turns can all hit their first point, and then you can go 6 or 7 rollers who are going to 7 out in the first 5 rolls.
Sure, and then you'll get your 1 or 2 that'll roll for 20-30 minutes.
Right, and if we can just kind of try to do a better job of understanding when that's happening. You know, I mean, hindsight's always, you know, I hate to be cliche,
saying
but
understanding isn't the right word. It's seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, watching the table and seeing what's happening.
So, and I think that's one of the things I'm going to try to do, and I'm not going to, you know, I think honestly, instead of making a whole bunch of small minimum bets, I think I'm just going to, if I can be that specific and really wait for those times and have some confidence in when I'm playing, you know, then let's make bigger bets. You know, if you're not going to take a whole bunch of small swings and you're going to take a few bigger swings, then making bigger bets.
Well, then, you know, make sure you got your limits set up, and you know, whether that's stop loss or time frame.
Well, yeah, no, For the bets I'm thinking, yeah, you can only lose maybe 2 times like that.
Well, and then that might be the deal. Is it's not a time limit; it's a tries. You only do 2 tries.
Oh, I would definitely say it would be more of a stop limit than a time thing today.
Yeah, more like, okay, I'm going to swing for the fences on this roll.
Yeah, but also, you know, I'm excited to get the dice back in my hands.
Oh, you're going to shoot today?
Oh, absolutely. At some point I'll find myself in my spot, and I'm going to want to try to see if maybe I can have a good run of luck. See if I can hit some 6s and 8s.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind hitting a bonus or 2.
Yeah. But that's always one of those funny things for me, because I know that if I'm rolling well, then I'm not hitting 2s and 12s and 3s and 11s. You know, I'm hitting the numbers, inside numbers, and not even 4 or 10 that much. I mean, really, if I'm on, then 5, 6, 8, 9 is what I'm really shooting at. So, you know, I'd love to hit the bonus ATS, but, you know, with that comes needing maybe my dice aren't on as like I want, you know. So that's a tough one, but I would take either having my dice. I would either take hitting ATSs or hitting 6s and 8s.
Sure.
You know. Well, I'm anticipating that the casino is going to be slow.
Well, that's the whole point of why we're going after a holiday weekend. Yes, it's going to be slow.
And
this is technically the beginning of our crap season.
Actually, yes.
You know, if you really think about us talking about our you know, how we think there's actually a season for craps for our conditions. Yeah, now that the summer tourism is over with, everybody's back in school and working.
Yeah, because
we just had a holiday. Nobody's coming out the weekend after a holiday.
Yeah, we really don't play. We don't take as many trips during the summer. You know, it's always
been expensive,
and it never makes any sense to travel to the desert during the summer. So we don't go to Vegas during the summer. I think we did that once, didn't we? But we were downtown.
Yeah, well, downtown you can run from place to place, and it's pretty.
And it's kind of covered already, so it's not as bad.
You know, going to the Grand was difficult every once in a while.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a longer walk, but it still wasn't terrible.
No. And I mean, it's reasonable, but no, summertime is usually expensive hotels and I mean, hard to get free rooms too. But no, we just don't like the crowd. We'd rather play when it's empty.
But you're right, this is kind of the beginning of our crap season.
So the weekends after holidays, those are usually slower than normal. So yeah. And then now there's people doing stuff every weekend because the weather's getting better, and you know, and football's in,
and also there's another reason we're going today. What is the giveaway for the day?
Oh yeah, my rice cooker.
Rice cooker. Oh yeah.
I've been wanting one of those for years. So we should easily have 4 or 5 sessions within the 24 hours that we're here.
Minimum 3.
Well, we're not even staying 24 hours. We're staying basically until about noon.
Right.
So we're noon to noon. Oh, wait, that's 24 hours. Duh.
Yeah, pretty close to it.
All right.
It's going to be pretty close to a 24-hour trip.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll head out to Isle of Capri first, and then go to the Golden Nugget, check into the hotel, and then probably eat something and then play or check out the tables and see how it works for, you know, 5, 7, 8 o'clock, and then possibly a later session, and then something in the morning, and then going back and forth between Golden Nugget and LAUBERGE after the Isle of Capri.
Sounds like a plan.
I think so.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of anxious to get some dice rolling in. It has been, in my mind, it's been a little while since I've played.
Well, it's been a while since you had a good roll, I know that much.
I don't know, last time we were there I had a decent roll or 2. Oh no, that was not my trip, yeah. No, you're right. Well, then I'm due.
Right, that's exactly right.
I am due a good roll. No, I'm feeling very confident today. Life is good, feeling good. So I'm hoping that the idea of tossing dice is trivial to my mind, and it just allows my body to do it. And we're gonna roll some numbers today.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's gonna be a good weekend to gamble. So, and actually, you know, it makes complete sense, and we didn't think about it, but this is our opening season, and I mean, usually opening games are good.
we talked about having a calendar for craps, and you know, we talked about it being when everybody's busy, when we can.
Well, and it's always been kind of funny because our schedules have kind of always gone the fall quarter. We usually do something in September, October, but by November, December, I usually was so busy that I couldn't do much.
Well, and if we did something, that was when we went to Vegas and did a big trip because it was cheap.
But also we would but our Vegas trips a lot of time were for your birthday in January.
Yeah.
And then the next my birthday would be in May, and that would be the kind of the next before the summer. We would do something in May. So that's always kind of been how our schedule has been.
But we've gone in April, November, and December all to Vegas.
October,
and January.
November, yeah.
So basically the last quarter.
Well, I mean, when you go last year we didn't go as often to Vegas, but the year before that
we went a bunch.
We went so often that for a while it was almost every other month. Was every other close or even more than 6 trips that year, didn't we?
Yeah, it was more than 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we were and had a nice rhythm.
Yeah, that was
where we were had a rhythm getting to the airport and getting to the casino and then getting right and going for 24 hours and then 48 hours.
I was gonna say those trips were like 36. Yeah. And then taking the red eye back.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that was
That's when we had a little more free time.
That was my favorite way to get back is the red eye, though. That was
hell yeah,
awesome traveling because I am a good sleeper anywhere. And you put me on a plane at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, I can sleep till we land back at home.
Yep.
So that was always good for me.
No, it made the most sense, and then I could just jump and go right back to work.
And I could go lay down again.
Yeah.
Well, what are your ideas on what you're looking to play today?
Well, kind of like you, I kind of have to, watch the table. Don't get started too fast.
I think that's probably one of our biggest problems is we get to a table and we'll watch it, but then, our first 2 or 3 rounds we're betting, big bets, and then all of a sudden you're down.
Yeah. So I think it's definitely, put your toe in the water, check it out for a little bit, and then be selective on well, we talked about this the last time. It's the problem that happens to us is if me and you don't roll well, then and when me and you do roll, then we bet on each other, and we bet big, or decently.
Usually, we've always said we want to bet bigger on us than other people.
No. But I mean, so this is what happens though: is we don't bet on anybody else, and then we bet on us, and then we lose, and then we're down 2 people, and then we okay, one of these guys that we just saw rolled well. Let's bet on him, and then he doesn't roll well, and then we're down 3, and then all of a sudden we're trying to make a comeback, and that's the situation I'm trying to avoid. So, with all that being said, I think, I'm going to put my toe in the water and not have so much at risk. I don't know. I mean, I can say that, I want to maybe play some bonuses and that's again, if the table's warm or hot, then the bonuses will be hidden. And if the bonuses are hidden, then that'll be a good positive day. Well, what if it's a shitty day and everybody's pissed off and is there a reason to play don't?
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
Well, that was, I said earlier, play accordingly. I mean, if we know how to play both ways, and I mean, we would rather play a positive table.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you know.
But when you see that
to read the table,
yeah,
I would say, well, if it's not a positive table, we might not want to play for a long period of time at it.
But you know, if you can,
then again, yeah, you just play quarters for a while. I mean,
if you can pick up 2 or 3 rollers that 7 out quick, and that happens, and that's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, it's a trend, like
trying to identify, and we can play the don't.
You underestimate the power of the dark side.
You know, I mean, as I said, we probably would prefer to play positive, but if we can recognize what's happening at the table and capitalize on that by either playing positive or negative, whichever way it's going. I mean, that's why I still play the Dewey and don't. Sometimes just because I haven't decided which way I'm going to play for this shooter, and then once he rolls, and if he rolls a 5-9 or a 4-10, you know, I might play the don't on him.
Give yourself to the dark side.
But if he rolls a 6 or an 8, then maybe I do want to play the positive with him, and that gives me the flexibility of doing that.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. You know, it's one style of play.
Yeah, but I could see the tables kind of being relaxed today.
I can see the C team being on duty.
Yes. I definitely don't think it's going to be the A team today.
Yeah.
Which is, to be honest with you, okay, because we, even from Isle de Capri to Golden Nugget and LAUBERGE, I mean, I would say their dealers are still, most are all really good.
I was going to say, aren't they all excited because they're able to wear football jerseys to work? Right. That's happening at Lake Charles?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember that was kind of one of those things. I remember 2 morons talking about everybody was excited because they don't have to wear a suit. They can wear,
they get back to their jerseys.
They get wear a jersey and have some fun.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I'd like to say that Lake Charles dealers in general have always been really good, for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the bad dealers that we met were either in Vegas or in Biloxi or somewhere like that, because I feel like the people in Lake Charles, they know their stuff.
Yeah, yeah. No, they do. I mean, it's a strong crap city. I mean, actually, I guess we really should be talking about where are the cities to play craps, not just casinos, but I mean,
we're lucky.
We are very lucky. I mean, we got free drinks, we get decent comps,
20 times odds,
appliances. 20 times odds
is huge. And so, not that we are able to take advantage of that usually. But.
No, well, I mean, we can practice with it.
We're talking about practice, man. I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice.
Yeah. 10 times again, odds is usually enough for us.
But again, yeah, it's well, and each casino's got at least 2 tables minimum. You know, actually, you know, there's 2, 4, and 6.
Yeah.
And then even COUCHATTA's got 5.
Yeah, we haven't been to COUCHATTA in a really long time.
Well, maybe we could drive out there tonight.
No, that's just crazy talk.
Well, we did say that if we ever went there, it would be when we spent the night.
That is agreed.
So maybe we could go to COUCHATTA.
Well, no, I do. COUCHATTA is really where I started playing. You know, when my very first time was actually LAUBERGE, but the time my first introduction was at LAUBERGE, and we made money that time, and that was so much fun. you know. And then when I started learning about craps and really practicing, and
we're talking about practice, man. I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice.
Then COUCHATTA, we went to COUCHATTA because they had a $5 table.
Yeah, that was why. Yeah, you practice on a $5 table.
We're talking about practice, man.
COUCHATTA is probably 25 minutes, 30 minutes away from Golden Nugget.
Extra. So on top of the 2 hours, then now you're 2.5.
But it's an Indian casino. I've always felt very comfortable there.
The tables are big though.
The tables are very big.
I want to say they're 16 footers.
I would not argue that with you.
And then they've got a $5, and then when they get it, the second one's usually a $10, and then I think on Fridays and Saturdays they can open up to 5 tables total.
But you know, one of the great things about comps at COUCHATTA was
it used to be.
Oh, has that changed?
When was the last time you had a comp?
Well, but
it's been well over 2 years.
Yeah, because we stopped going to COUCHATTA. But when we did go to COUCHATTA and we were getting our comps, the great thing was because they were an Indian reservation, we were able to get gas with our comps.
Well, just they had gas attached to the.
You could get gas
deal.
or cigarettes with your comp money, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. Golden Nugget doesn't have that, and LAUBERGE doesn't have that. So.
But no, yeah, COUCHATTA was one of our was really our first home base.
I think they also had liquor and beer that you could get with your stuff too. Yeah, it was a full-on gas station convenience store that you could use with your comps. But I thought you were going to say the best thing was that you actually got cash.
Well, that's true. Instead of getting tickets like
instead of getting like free chips or a ticket to get free money or free comps to play with, they'd actually give you. You could take your ticket and go straight to the cashier, and they give you cash. And and then the several times that we were there to do that, we couldn't find a place at the table because it was packed, and then we just ended up walking out. So basically, just cashed in, got our $50 cash, and walked right back out. We kind of felt guilty about it for a while.
We did, but you know, the other side of that is when, like, the few times that we did stay at COUCHATTA was because we used to do Tuesday trips.
Yeah.
And they reset their weekly
Tuesday, Wednesday.
So we were able to collect on Tuesday and then wake up in the morning and go collect again Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool because then, you're getting cash twice.
Yeah, that was the other thing that we try to do is always, whenever the overlap happens between comp bonuses or comp points or all that kind of play, we try to stay overnight on that night. Like, for instance, tonight is a Sunday, Monday, so the weekend's on Sunday and starts on Monday, so we've got comps from the week before, and then we'll get comps from next week tomorrow morning. Or at midnight, depending on how fast their computers work.
Right.
Yeah. No, I would say, if
I could completely see that. If I was a football bettor, I could completely see not paying any attention to fantasy and just playing the games.
Yeah. No, again, kind of like us with craps. We don't want to be distracted with the other games. We want to just focus on what we're trying to win money at. So, yeah.
I guess bubble craps would kind of be like equal to fantasy.
Oh, that's funny.
Push the button. Come on. Push the button.
Oh, that's really funny. You know, because I was thinking about the analogy today from the football playbook, and I had talked to you about I think there's 3 ways to to divide up the table gambling is red chip, green chip, and black chip.
Sure.
Those are the types of players. And I'm assuming that's how they mark them in the computers for you too. And obviously that's like what your minimum bet and things like that. So, and I think, we know that, there's different strategies for the different table limits that you're playing. A $5 table is going to be different from a $10 table. It's going to be different from a $15 table. And then obviously once you go to 25, that's a whole nother level as well. Well, once you get on that 25, now you can start going out to DC, and then they've got $50 tables, or you go to Vegas and Aria's got $50 and $100 tables, and then Caesars has $200 tables. So I mean, I think obviously you have a different strategy for every single different level. I mean, there's so much going on at a bigger limit table. Well, and then it falls back to bankroll.
Well, it absolutely falls to bankroll, because I was just thinking, I mean, if I'm playing a $10 table and I want to play the inside, that's but it still has to be a bet that still fits into your bankroll.
Yeah.
And if I'm at a $50 table, I still want to play the inside I just have to, you know, my bankroll has to be adjusted.
Now you're doing like 440 inside instead of 44 inside.
Exactly, you know, and I mean, obviously that's a big difference. And if you had a $600 bankroll, well, then that tells you can't play at a $50 table.
No, but if you had a $6,000 bankroll,
then you could play at a $50 table. I mean, we definitely understand the proportions. You know, how much are you wanting to take out of your bankroll per bet, per player type of deal? And I mean, we know that, you know, 10% is still a chunk, but that's usually where we stay around.
Yeah. So anyway, so this, so you've got basically red chip, green chip, black chip. And so in the football analogy, that would be equivalent to high school, college, and professional.
Sure.
I mean, if you're a red chip player, you're just learning still. You're a beginner. If you're a green chip player, that's collegiate level. You know, you're taking some 300, 400 level classes to get there. Especially if you're consistently there. And then black chip, obviously, you're a professional.
Yeah, I can see
so,
that.
And then obviously there's, I think, you know, every play can work, but then you scale it up, and you just, that's the one thing of watching these higher limit, you know, players. You know, it's just, you just got to make sure you get the math right, because you can't trust the dealers.
Right, you have to, absolutely.
You've got to train the dealer on what your bet is.
Your payouts, for sure.
And again, with you having that kind of money, the dealers expect that out of you. They don't expect you to be stupid with all that money.
Well, you know, I find it funny that most dealers find your $66 bet on a 6 or 8 funny.
Well, because nobody does it like that.
Yeah.
Well, and now you make me explain that bet because you had...
Well, okay, sure. I mean, you know, well, then, you know,
so,
listen up, guys, because this one's worth it.
Go. Here's
send us some checks.
Here's
for this
a pro.
one.
There's no checks. It's just simple. It just goes with, you know, we had talked about max pressing and stuff, you know, episodes earlier, and this is just, you know, I would say our number one red chip press move that we like to do. The number one is on a $15 table, you've got $18 sixes and eights. And if you hit an $18 6 or 8, you get paid $21. So when you have a 6 or 8 hit, then you take $3 and you give it to the dealers, and you tell them that you'd like to press your 6 and your 8 to $30 each. And so with an additional $3 included with your winnings, that's $60, and you'd be able to get a $30 6 and a $30 8. And that's a very fast move to get you at two $30 bets, you know, realistically from $40. You know, the two 18s plus 39
yeah.
plus $3.
No, it's one of our favorite presses when we want to start low, you know, especially on a random roller, or even sometimes on ourselves when we're just, you know, trying to keep it cheap.
Well, it's using house money.
Yeah.
And then hopefully, you know, then the next set of that play is hopefully it hits again. Then now you're getting 35.
And now you're only down.
And
4.
then you either turn it off, and then you know now you're $35 plus a 60 on the line that you can turn on for the next player. You know, you've already got the money up there, and then you've gotten your return of 35 in your rack too. So that's one play. The other is, you know, regress, step back down to 18, yeah, or you know, any variation thereof. But you know, once you get it to that 30, for one player, again, the way we think about players is how many 6s and 8s can they hit in their roll. You know, odds of them hitting 4 each are like crazy, but they do it. But you just have to, you know, increase and decrease your bets, you know, on kind of that feeling or what you're seeing from the shooter.
Okay, now you said you were going to explain your $66 bet.
All right, so that's our 18 to 30. So basically then, well, okay, so the other one, before we get to 66, the other one is the $12 6 and 8. So the $12 6 and 8.
This might be for.
Well, this is for $10 tables,
right? Or if the point was 6, then you could play the 8 this way.
Well, yeah. Well, it's another way to get your bet to 30 from your minimum bet.
Correct.
And I guess that's these couple bets are from a minimum bet, getting your bet to $30. With the $18 6 and 8, you're able to get them both to 30. With a $12 6 or 8, you're able to get them just one to 30. Right. And so 12 will pay 14, and then you add $4 to the 4. And then that's 18 plus the 12 is 30. So if the $12 6 or 8 hits, you give $4 to the dealer and tell them to make your $12 bet a $30 bet.
And now you have $16 invested and 14 of it of house money for your $30 bet.
And you did it very quickly. You didn't take a step from 12 to 24 to 30
or 12 to 18
or and then again with 18 to 30 you're skipping that 24. A lot of people like putting 24 out there for some reason, but this is a way to. And again, if you're thinking about probability, you want your highest bets out there the sooner you can, and then regress down.
Yeah, because if you have an $18 6 and it hits, and you're getting 21, and you want to raise it to 30, you're still getting $9 back. So now you've got a $30 bet out there that's only cost you $9.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, that's something we've mastered, and that's how we can make our money if we slow play. So then next is jumping up a level, and it's a $66 6 and 8. And so the $66, because so you had 30 out there, right? And so realistically, from 35, you get from your $30, you win 35.
Right.
Okay, and that gives you $65 right there. And so the play is to add $1. So from 30, you add $1, and you go to $66 6 or 8.
And $66 pays
77 versus 60 paying 70.
Correct.
Okay, so that's how you get from 30 to 66. And then, so that's again a full max press or whatever, and you're adding $1 versus taking that $5 back. You're able to put that $1 in there and have that all working. So now you're getting 77. Okay, so from 66, the play is to 150. So 66 pays 77, and then you need to chip in $7. So 66 and plus 77 is 143, and then plus 7 is 150. So when your 66 6 or 8 hits, you can give $7 to the dealer and say make it 150.
And then you would have $73 of your money invested on a $150 bet. And then if the 150 hits, that pays 175,
and then you definitely can regress back down to a 60 or a 30 or whatever, or leave it out there or turn it off. Yeah. So, but that's the fast
way to do it. And I will say that one of the ways that I look at doing all this is if it's a random shooter and I put a $12 or let's say $18 6 and 8, they hit one of those in the first roll, I'm definitely pushing it to both.
Oh yeah, if this is happening within the first 5 rolls, right?
Yeah, I was going to say if he doesn't hit a 6 or 8 for the first 3 or 4 rolls and he finally hits one on the 5th roll, I still maybe make that move, or I take the money, but I'm still turning it off.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's something we need to practice more often, is turning off our bets for the next shooter.
Right.
Saying that, okay, we're going to take 4 winners from this shooter, and then turn our bets off, and then wait for the next shooter, and then already have them up there as your $60, as your $66 bets, or your higher level versus your minimum bets.
Well, you know what that would take, sir?
Oh no.
That would take a little bit of discipline. And
yeah, well,
as much confidence as I have, discipline sometimes we are short on.
I will say we're getting better at it, though. I mean, experience is paying off. I mean, that's if anything, that's something that you can't really measure. Because I remember a time that when I got to a table, I was nervous as hell. Every time I'd walk up to a table, no matter what, I was still nervous and anxious and excited and all that. And now I can walk up to a table and it's now I'm relaxed. Well, there's also a routine or a rhythm now to just get in tune with the table. You know, you're not nervous anymore because you didn't know how to address the table.
Right. Well, no, and I mean, you know, walking up to a table that I don't know. Before I would with more knowledge and more understanding of the game and more understanding the whole, understanding the whole concept of what we're doing it's led to more confidence.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. The more you know about what you're doing anywhere, the more comfortable you're going to feel with it.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what we've done. We've completely dove head first into this wonderful game.
But you know, it's amazing is we still see things and we're like, wow, that's the first time I ever saw that.
Well, yeah, that is kind of funny. But that's good.
I mean, you had pulled up that video the other day that we were watching, and the bet that guy was making, I had never seen that done like that.
No, yeah, well, that's why I put the video together. So yeah, since we're going to Isle of Capri, I'm sure some of you guys know about, I guess one of the more recent videos from Road Gambler going to Isle of Capri, and then he was doing these basically $3,000, $2,500 put bets. You know, and everybody's familiar with place bets, and hardly anybody knows about a put bet.
And come bets. I mean, we know come bets too.
Well, sure, yeah, no, everybody knows come bets and everybody knows place bets, but yeah, put bets. And then, yeah, it looked like he was, maximizing the math in order to get, the most out of it. But I don't know. It seemed a little.
I didn't like it because I thought he was for the difference. The way I computed it.
So it was a $150 bet, put bet, and then he had $3,000 odds on it.
Right.
And so he was getting even money on the 150, and then
3,600 on
and 5 to 6 on his odds on the put bet. And so basically we're guessing, and I mean I don't care because I'm not going to bet like this at all. It's just a lot of work to. Let's just finish this. So anyway, so you get even money on the put bet, which is kind of like a calm bet, I guess. So he gets even money on that 150, and then the odds, he gets true odds on the odds, and so that's where this comes in. So it's a 150 bet with $3,000 odds, and then it paid $3,750
total, correct.
And so he was doing that on the 6 and 8, and he got on a good table at Isle of Capri, and we recognized the table, we recognized the shooters,
recognized some of the dealers.
The dealers, the shooters were having a good time. I would have loved to have been at that table too.
But in my head, I didn't like that bet because for that same $3,000, he could just put on the 6 or 8.
Well, so he basically what he did was had 3,000 and 150 bet versus just having 3,000.
And the difference between that was $100. And I thought putting up
was 150 or
no, it was $100.
Okay, so yeah.
And I thought the difference just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, see, and then I was thinking, I mean, if you were trying to maximize the bet at the table or table max, so table max is usually 5,000 or 10,000. It's not 3,000.
Right.
Although we'll be at Isle of Capri, and I'll double check, but I think it's 5,000.
I think it's 5 at their place too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, so then you would want to do the, what is that then? A $500 bet or whatever it is, whatever the bet is to get to. Oh, 250. It'd be a 250 bet, and then 5,000. Because so that gives you an extra 250 in play versus just a $5,000 6 or 8. And then I'm like, okay, then how much of a degenerate are you then? Where you need to get that, you squeeze that extra 250 out of that bet. I mean, it just seems, and then you're going to take extra time at the table because it's a bet that nobody's comfortable with, and you're high limit betting, so everybody's focused on you. You're going to make every shooter nervous,
right?
You know, and then it slows down the game because everybody's trying to make sure they're paying it right because it's such a high deal. What's funny is that all was happening at Isle of Capri, which is our backyard, and Isle of Capri is a low rolling table.
Yeah, I was gonna say, out of the 3 casinos right in this area, Isle of Capri would have been the last one that I would have played that at. The thought of bringing $5,000, to Isle of Capri is like too much money. I mean, you're thinking because I think he started with a $50,000.
Yeah, $50,000.
And so you're thinking the comps that you should be getting from this play is pretty substantial. What kind of food, you got Vic and Anthony's at Gold Nugget. What kind of food you got at Isle of Capri?
yeah, the comps you're getting from Isle of Capri are B-level comps compared to
B-level, probably C-level. And I like Isle of Capri. I mean, I like the craps table there. Don't get me wrong.
Oh no, we love playing there. It's just
It's a lower end casino.
Well, but see, look. Apparently now you can play over there like that, though. Now I will say we did look at the table. The table wasn't very crowded.
No.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was probably a weekday. Obviously not a weekend. I did know. I don't know when the video was made, but it didn't look recent because we didn't see anybody wearing shorts or short sleeves or anything.
It looked like it was winter time.
Yeah, everybody was wearing long sleeves, and granted, we always talk about the casinos being cold, so that give or take. But either way, we also did notice which side of the casino the table was on, and it is on the older side of the casino. Because the last time we were at Isle of Capri, we played on the new side with the new table, and the video was from the old table for sure.
Yeah, the new
because it was on the back side. But anyway, I don't know.
Well, it's a fun video to watch.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, I would have loved to bet at that table. I mean, he went from, he was at $50,000 was his buy-in, and then, he's making basically 36.50 bets, each on the 6 and 8. When the point was one of them, then he was putting his money on the pass line, and just that was the bets. And then our problem again is when they hit a couple of times, he didn't regress at all.
He did finally regress at some point.
Yeah, but he went from 3,000 to 2,000.
Yeah. And he did play for only 35 minutes.
He only played for about a half hour, a little more, like right around a half hour. So I mean, more power to him, man. I mean, that takes some stones. And just to try it out, and hey, I mean, dude, we couldn't do it. I mean, we'd love to try. I could tell you this: we wouldn't have lost. What's 37.50 times 2?
75.
We wouldn't have lost $7,500 when somebody 7'd out after we've hit it a couple of times. We would have probably lost half that. So then each time somebody 7'd out, you could have had an extra $3,000 in your bankroll, $37.50 in your bankroll. We would have at least gone down to half. The way we would have played that is the way we would play any diminishing roll. I mean,
to be honest with you,
after it hit 2 or 3 times,
at the size of bets that he was playing, if you hit it once or twice per roller, I'd be pretty happy.
And then for that matter, you just turn it off and leave it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so
how many 3,500 versus?
Well, but that was the thing. If you watch the video, there were friggin' 6s and 8s going. But they had 3 rollers that had 3 really good rolls, and they were just hitting. They were pounding 6s and 8s. I think 6s more than 8s, which is friggin' great, And all those guys rolling, they looked really good. They were all good rollers.
Well, and we definitely agree with the 6 and 8 play.
Oh no, that's the play.
Yeah.
That's the max play. But again, I would have a little more regression in there. If it hits twice, then take it down to half. You know, he was just, it hit 3 times, which is great, but you still then are losing that 7,500
Well, yeah, no, if it hits 3 times, you're still losing 2 of those units, so you're only
so you're only making 1.
But if you had taken the first 2 hits and then turned it off, you'd be way.
No, see, I think, I mean, the way he was playing, he ended up with, you know, he ended up, what I liked is when he was halfway through, he was up like 1,500 or 15,000, because he was up to 65. And I think on his video somewhere, he would ask the question of should he stop, you know, and it had only been like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And it's the same thing we do too, is, oh, we got out of our hole, or we got a little bit ahead, should we just call it and take it? And so, yeah, he keeps continuing to play, and then ends up, you know, deciding to stop at 80.
Well, and you know, the thing is he definitely, I mean, he made money. So, I mean,
oh, yeah,
you know, we could try to critique his style, but the man made a chunk of money.
No, it's in theory what we do at home in practice.
We're talking about practice, man. I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice.
And like, yeah, we can see it being done. It's just doing it is big cojones. But then also it's the logistics of getting it done and then being comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, that we started this conversation talking about how you originally felt uncomfortable and nervous at the craps table. How do you think you're going to feel with 50-grand bankroll? You know, I mean,
that would feel pretty good because I'm going to have a bodyguard with me.
Right. Well, I doubt that he did.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. Us playing at $25 table and not feeling nervous. That's the thing. Every time you go up to that next level, you get that nervousness back.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And so,
I mean, it won't ever be as bad as it was my first year, but yeah.
I mean, you know, goals for me this year are, you know, to get a marker, you know, to wire transfer money, you know, to do those kind of things just so I can get comfortable doing it. But I mean, the first time you do it, I mean, I know I'm not going to roll well. I'm going to be thinking about too many other things. And that's the thing. The more comfortable we get with our routine, the more, you know, the more at ease at the table we'll be.
You think it would make a difference to you how you received your chips and how you played that day?
Yes.
I think it'd give you more confidence because you're the shit. You're the man at the table. Because, well, I mean, 1 out of 20 people are taking markers. I mean, not many people do it.
Not around. Well, I think on the weekends it's different.
Well, okay, true.
Yeah, I mean,
we try not to go when it's busy.
No, when we go, no, nobody's hardly ever taking markers.
Yeah.
No, they take them in the evening.
I agree.
So, well, and that's the other thing. I'm wondering if I start taking markers, will we finally get some Friday and Saturday night hotel action?
Right. Well,
that's my other goal, is to get some Friday and Saturday.
I mean, I think the more you play and the more you do the things that, I mean, these are all things that we know. We've heard other people talk about how to build your comps up, and how, you know, until you're buying in with $5,000, nobody's paying attention to you.
Pretty much.
Until you know you are doing markers or things like that, or you know nobody's paying. You know, it's you know, how many people visit these casinos per year?
Well, yeah, well, it'd be very interesting to learn the demographics of casino regulars and traffic. Well, and you know it's different from every area. I mean, Vegas is Vegas.
Yeah.
Atlantic City's Atlantic City, and even Biloxi being a little more of a tourist city. You know, but you know, they've got their locals and their regulars that hit those places. You know, and that's, you know, when you've got, you know, Indiana and Ohio and Wisconsin and, you know, all these other smaller areas where it's, I guess, you know, a little more for the locals, for the people around it, versus you know, trying to drive tourism.
Right, true. And but I mean, Lake Charles doesn't really. Lake Charles to me fits. It's not. I mean, it's a destination because you have to, you know.
Well, it's a destination for people from Houston.
Yeah.
Although I hear, I mean, we see San Antonio people. I think, you know, Dallas is going to Oklahoma or Shreveport, so there's really no reason for them to come down here. I mean, realistically, yeah, Lake Charles services Houston.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And then possibly, you know, if you want to talk about the rest of Louisiana, you know, instead of going to New Orleans, they can go to Lake Charles. But I think they're going to go gamble. But then again, I think they go to Biloxi too.
Right. No, we're pretty lucky with having Lake Charles close enough that we can get there easily, but not close enough that we go every day.
Right. Well, I would so love going for happy hour.
What would be an hour? Would be doable every day drive?
When I was working downtown in St. Louis, I'd go to the riverboat for lunch, and I'd play craps or blackjack for 20 minutes and earn my lunch money. I'd try to win $20.
Or you didn't eat.
Or I didn't eat. Yep. And that was kind of it. And well, I'd say I ate 80% of the time. I would also say that I won more than $20, more than 50% of the time. Or excuse me, 20 bucks. But yeah, no, but that was, I could walk from my office to the casino, and so that was kind of nice. So I was going like not every day, but every other day, or at least a couple times a week. But then I was only staying for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And again, I think that's there's a secret there to how you can.
But you only do but I mean, you'd only consider going 20 or 30 minutes if you were able to walk to a casino. You know, I mean,
if you're
driving 2 hours, and that's sometimes our problem is, first roll or two we're up, but it's only been 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I drove 2 hours to get here. I want to play.
Right.
I mean, that's the problem with loving this game. In addition, wanting to be successful,
you want to spend time with
and being a winner. We want to win, but at the same time, we just like to play. And sometimes that's our downfall.
Yeah. No, that is actually probably the real reason why we get into trouble, is because we want to just play the game to play out of our hole. I mean, I was saying this the last time. I hate being in the hole, but I love getting out. Well, of course you love getting out of the hole. But
I like getting into holes too.
Yeah, okay. That was bad on me. Anyway. But I was I forgot what I was saying. Good job, mister.
Something about holes.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yep. Getting out of holes. There's some enjoyment in that.
Well, it's because we feel like even if we get in a hole, we feel like if we spend enough time at the table, eventually we're going to get out of it. But that's not always the best way to think about it.
No. Well, and that's the problem that's like the recovery plan. That's like in case of emergency, break glass, and we just never put glass back up. We just keep grabbing it each time.
Right.
As opposed to having more discipline, paying more attention, turning bets off. We still don't turn our bets off enough.
Yeah, no, today that's something I am going to try to concentrate on.
There's a lot of things we need to tighten up on.
Well, I went through a phase where I thought I'll try to be more of a gambler.
Right.
I think that's one of my weaknesses, is that I'm not a true gambler. I'm not somebody who'll put $50 down and say, okay, flip the coin. I think that's a stupid bet.
Well,
it's a win or obviously win or lose bet.
But $5 is a little more your speed, and $500 you can't even contemplate.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's just a matter of exposure.
Oh no, I've definitely become much bigger gambler.
Well, yeah, because what do we talk about all the time now is, if we have to spend $60 on something, we're like, oh shit, that's just a $60 6 or 8. We can do that. We can spend that in a second.
Those 2 drinks were $30. Oh, it's just a 6.
Right. Yeah, that is probably one of the things about gambling that messes you up in the real world. Is having $500 in your pocket, walking around all the time. I'm sure that's fine for some people, but
yeah, it's changed the perspective of money a little bit.
Yeah,
which is,
it's like,
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah, all of a sudden things don't seem that expensive in relationship to gambling.
Yeah, because like when you lose $300 on a table, you walk away. But if I go and spend $500 or $300 on some furniture or something, at least I walked off with something, you know.
Yeah. Or even dinner or something like that, you know. You can go to the club, you know, and get bottle service for $500, you know. But at least you get the opportunity to win it back at a casino.
So in Lake Charles, and I think I've asked this before, but I don't remember. Actually, I think I remember the answer, and I think the answer is Isle Capri. But Isle Capri is the only place in Lake Charles right now that has...
You say that wrong every time.
What? Bubble craps?
Push the button! Come on! Push the button!
Like, the Golden Nugget is the place that does not have it.
So LAUBERGE has it. Oh, that's right, they do have it.
Yes,
but they don't have it... They have it mixed in.
This is a goodie but oldie.
Well, you know, sometimes we like to take it back.
So yes, no. Remember they put in the roulette table by the craps tables by the Golden Nugget.
Right.
And then the bubble craps in LAUBERGE is next to that stadium stuff.
Push the button!
Over on your way to the cashier. It's on the left-hand side.
Okay, yeah.
And then the one at LAUBERGE, or the one at Isle Capri is downstairs.
I miss bubble craps.
Push the button! Come on! Push the button!
I always forget that one. I played it, I went to Tampa.
Yeah, but you said that was like a $10 minimum.
Yeah, $10 minimum. 10 or 15, did I say 10 or 15? 10.
I want to say you said 10.
Yeah, no, it was, I did not like it. Well, we've talked about this before. Bubble craps is, in our opinion, a slot machine. There's ways to adjust. We're confident. They're not. The information's not out there. I know that you can find out the company, and then you got the videos for how the game works and stuff like that. But I mean, most likely they have an algorithm, and you know they.
I do not think the dice are random. No.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. We don't think the dice are random. We've done some tests. We've played hard on that machine. Well, okay, so I was in Tampa and it was $10 minimum, and it's the only thing to play. And they actually have 4 machines. The Hard Rock Casino in Tampa is friggin' huge.
Yeah.
It's under construction, and man, they got a ton of table games, a ton of slot machines, and then they've got the computer roulette, and they've got 4 bubble craps machines. You know, two pairs, one on an upper floor and one on a lower floor. But dude, I mean, I would say the floor plate's at least as big as Bellagio.
Wow.
I was surprised. It's on 2 floor plans, and then they've got all these restaurants and stuff opening up. They had a couple of pie gough tables. They had pie gough tiles. You know, big baccarat session. They have an Asian restaurant that is actually with you know, all the baccarat and all that. That was open 24/7 or 24 hours, and then it was packed at like 3 in the morning.
Oh, I'm sure.
On a Sunday.
Yeah.
So I'm real curious to eat there now. But still no real craps and still no real roulette. But hopefully that's coming. But they're building new hotel rooms and all that sort of shit, so it looks good. And then I didn't show you pictures. They're also building another one or an addition down in Hollywood, Florida, which is the other Hard Rock, run by the Seminole Indian tribe. And that one has it's in the tower of the hotel is the shape of a guitar.
Oh wow!
And so it's all glass. It looks like this basically standing glass guitar. It's friggin' sweet. That opens up in the middle of October, and I got an invite, and it would cost us $124 a night to stay in the hotel. But they don't have real craps, so it's not really on our list. But it looks really, really cool, and that looks like it'd be a lot of fun. So whenever Florida does get real craps, that would be the place to go, because that one's down closer to Miami. It's on the West Coast. Well, actually, where they just got freaking hit by a hurricane.
Right.
I wonder what kind of damage. Actually, now I'm thinking about it. As a construction project, you know, they've got a lot of debris and shit like that, and if they had those winds, that could have caused a lot of damage. Could actually.
They had plenty of time to tidy up, though.
Well, yeah, but I mean, still, you got trees and shit like that. They can break things, and so yeah, that might actually put a delay on their opening now. You know, pushing back till November or December even.
Anything's possible. You are correct.
Yeah. So anyway, good luck down there.
But I would say it's probably easier for a casino that's not quite open to prepare for a hurricane than one that's already opened.
Well, this one was already open. This was an addition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, this is an addition to an existing hotel, casino.
Got it.
So anyway, but then again, the good thing about new buildings in Florida is they are built to pass hurricane code. You know, so they can take a 100-mile-an-hour, you know, debris going to the window, and the window won't break. The glass will break, but it won't. The debris won't penetrate through. All right, we found the traffic.
I think we're getting kind of close.
So, but yeah, so bubble craps.
Push the button!
Was the only thing in Florida, and there were 4 machines, and yeah, it looked like one had some good action. There were some guys having some fun. They were drunk and winning, but you know, if you're playing $10 minimums, you know, then yeah, the wins are going to be good.
I don't know. To me, if I'm going to play bubble craps, I play it because it's a low.
Well, but it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
no. Well, and see, that's the thing. Where we play, and then the couple times we played in Vegas, they were like $1 minimum, or $3 minimum.
I think $3.
Yeah, $3 is usually what we can find, and then even $5 is not so bad, because it's just a matter of having $5 total at risk versus an actual $5 bet. You can play 5 hot bets.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's a matter of having that total now.
Oh.
So, yeah, you can, like with a $10 minimum, you can make a $6 bet and a $4 horn, and there's your 10.
That gets expensive every turn.
Well, it depends on what you're trying to play.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, we liked playing bubble craps with low limits as a way to test out strategies, and then we started getting pissed off at the machine because it wasn't playing right. And then we started betting against each other to try to even out. So when, you know, I would bet negative and you would bet positive on the machine, and, you know, it would stutter a couple of times, you know, and then I remember I would end up hopping the 7s, and because I was hopping the 7s weren't showing.
Right.
And it went for like 20 rolls.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, $3, you know, and then I would go up and down, and, you know, sure enough, it was almost like, you know, depending on how much money was at risk, it knew what the better payoffs were, and that's a computer. Yeah. And so, you know, of course, it knows exactly who's betting on what, and then yeah, and then there's no consistency with the way that thing shakes dice, or, you know, what's underneath it, and then, you know, when the dice are up against on its side, you know, then they reshuffle it. So I'm not saying there's magnets or something in there, or, you know, but the dice are oversized. There's nothing, you know, nothing to compare them to. But so we just don't have a very good feeling. But we will say this: we enjoy it for if you can get a waitress that gives you drink service, and then if you're with somebody and you want to, you know,
it's a good place
teach them how to play.
It's a great place to teach somebody how to play.
Yeah, you hit the help button and all the rules just pop up on the screen, you know, and then you can actually teach somebody how to play, versus being at a craps table and fucking up somebody's roll.
It should be the only place that craps
actually, yeah, that should be. You should be able to play bubble craps before you get to the table, so at least you know what bets you want to make.
Hell, they ought to let you play bubble craps for free.
Push the button!
No, but it is fun to play every once in a while.
Well, since we're gonna be here for a while, maybe we'll sit down for a little bit. Because that's the other thing. Some of the machines at some places don't earn comps.
Right.
Because they consider like the video poker doesn't always give you comps. So yeah, you do have to watch that every once in a while. And then I guess the other thing is they won't take slot comps. They don't count in bubble craps.
Push the button!
Or at least at the casinos we've played at. That could change, obviously from location to location. How are we doing on time?
Well, we left technically at about 10:22, but we had an extended stay at Buc-ee's.
We had an extended stay.
We had to do your football, and so we're a little bit behind as far as usually it takes us right at 2 hours.
You didn't give me an answer though.
It's 12:38.
I can't see anything.
Oh, 12:38.
Thank you. The sun is blocking that. I can't see that. Yeah, no. Okay, so yeah, we're 5 minutes away. We're about to. Our clean studio sound is ending in 2, 1.
No, that wasn't that bad.
And it gets worse. Well, so here we are about to go to the Isle of Capri and be done with this portion of the drive. Are we feeling lucky? What's our temperature as we're can now see the casino in the distance?
Feeling good. I think it's hot out here.
Yeah, it's still warm. I will say, even though it's September, it does not feel like fall
at all.
Well, I'm hoping that it's not too terribly crowded. It's almost 1. Football's already started, so hopefully the casino's not too packed, or Isle of Capri's not too packed. If it is, then we're turning around and going right over to Golden Nugget and LAUBERGE, and then we'll probably assess the situation over there or watch some football,
or both.
Or both. So, all right, well, thanks for listening.
And we're back.
Well, back on the road, heading home from, shall we say, another successful trip to Lake Charles.
Absolutely. The dice favored us over this 24-hour period.
Yeah, actually, we did good. Showed up yesterday on Sunday, and now we're leaving at right at about 11:30, so we can head back to Houston.
Yeah, we started at Isle Capri.
And Isle Capri, well, let's put this on the record. We were talking about the road gambler going to Isle Capri and the max betting that he was doing, and he was doing $2,500 and $3,000, and we had thought that there was a $5,000 max, and it wasn't. He was actually at the max for the table, so the max was the $2,500, in which case then you could put $3,000 for
right,
the 6 and 8.
Right.
So anyway, so he was doing max betting, getting as much money out as he could out of his bet style. So
per bet, yeah.
Yeah,
he definitely was
that makes
maximizing
sense. So it made sense, and so we just wanted to put that on record of it was $2,500 max at Isle Capri. That all being said, I had a really good session over there, a little over an hour and a half.
You did.
And I didn't roll.
No, you did not. That's probably why we did.
And I was going back and forth. I was playing don't.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
And I was playing positive.
You did mix it up quite a bit. And the table was kind of choppy. They did not hit very many first points.
No, that was the one thing I noticed about this one.
They might roll for a while, but they weren't hitting very many first points. Yeah, actually, you're right. I don't think this whole trip we saw a whole bunch of points getting hit.
Not first points.
Yeah.
Or no, excuse me, not points. A lot of box numbers, a lot of horn numbers.
Oh, the horn numbers are crazy.
Yeah, 12s and 2s and 3s and yos, all of that.
Well, we have a story from LAUBERGE when we get further along, and we're talking about LAUBERGE about the horn numbers, yeah.
But yeah, no. So Isle of Capri wasn't too crowded. You know, again, as far as trip report goes, Isle of Capri's on a boat. Or excuse me, you know, it's an old boat. It's 3 stories. The craps tables are on the 2nd floor. There's 2 tables. They're both right at about 16 feet, I think. And then only one was going, and it had a $10 minimum. So, anyway, and so that was Isle of Capri, and I think I was down at the end next to the dealer, so it was easy for me to put DCs and don't bets.
Give yourself to the dark side.
And then be able to do all the other things I wanted to do as well. And yeah, no, I was zigging and zagging when I needed to zig and zag.
Well, you were able to recognize what was going on at the table per player, really. You read the rhythm really well. I actually didn't even play that session. I just kind of hung out. I didn't... I was going to, and then I didn't, and then I finally just told myself, you know what, I mean, you know, sometimes you just...
If you're not feeling it.
You're not feeling it, and so I didn't play there.
Well, and football was on, so you had that going on, so you could watch a little bit of that, but... Yeah, no, but, yeah, the dice weren't going around very fast. Everybody was having decent rolls. It was definitely a warm to hot table. And, yeah, so stayed there till about 2:30, and then went over to LAUBERGE. LAUBERGE, yeah, on this Sunday after Labor Day was pretty. They were all the casinos.
Actually, all the casinos were busy. Our idea that it might not be that busy because of football and such, and no, that was not true. They were definitely.
I wouldn't say they were busy.
They weren't packed, but I mean, it was.
I mean, they only had one table going.
It was a strong crowd, though. I mean, it wasn't. They were people there.
Well, yeah, there were people, but they only had. So LAUBERGE had only 2 tables going out of their 4, and then their bets were $10 at first, and I think then they went up pretty quickly to 15. Same thing happened over at Golden Nugget. They were earlier in the day they were $10, and then by midday they went to 15. But no, LAUBERGE was another decent session. Now LAUBERGE is set up. They're another floating barge kind of thing on the water. They're not a boat, but they're definitely on the water on top of little.
You say they're not a boat, but I did see a sea captain.
Well, because they're technically on the water,
right.
So technically they're a boat, but it doesn't go anywhere, and so technically the person who runs the facility is a captain, because it technically is a boat. In order for them technically to be a casino in Louisiana. So and see, I don't know how Golden Nugget gets away with it, because they're not on the water. So anyway, but so LAUBERGE was a good session.
LAUBERGE was a very good session.
And is that another one where you did or did not play?
Oh, I did play. Yeah, no, LAUBERGE we did really well. And LAUBERGE is where the one particular gentleman started rolling, and man, he must have hit 5 or 6.
What position was he in?
He was on the hook, and he must have rolled 5 or 6. He went like 11, 3, 12, 12, 12, 3. I mean, the guy rolled, you know, all horn numbers.
Yeah. No, he was straight out. He wasn't on the hook.
He
was straight out, and yeah, he was betting with $100 chips and green chips. And yeah, he was.
No. The guy I'm talking about didn't. He didn't make any money on this. He didn't have anything on the horn.
Oh, you're not talking about the guy that was next to us?
The guy that was no, the guy that was next to us, but he wasn't rolling. It was the guy on the hook that was rolling.
Oh,
and
sorry, talking about the bets.
And he didn't have any money on the horn, but the guy next to us, yeah, he was killing it. He was making chunks of $600 and $800 because he was pressing, you know, from the very first, you know, horn bet, and then he was even throwing quarters and $50 up there, you know, for 2s and 12s, and this guy hit, I think, 3 12s in a row.
Yeah, 3 12s in a row, and there were a bunch of people on it, and they kept pressing it every time it hit.
Yeah, and the guy that was next to us that was making all this money, he was being super generous to the dealers because he had them up there with it, and he kept pressing for them. And I mean, they were taking chunks of
they were putting
140, 220. You know, I mean, yeah, they were getting some chunks of money. And the guy that was doing all this rolling never was on it, and neither were we, unfortunately. But the guy next to us, yeah, he cashed out for $6,700 after that little run. But he hit the ATS, and we hit an ATS in there, and he had quarters on it, so he got like 875 or 825 on that. So
75, I think.
875. But yeah, no, that guy, he cashed out, I think 62 or 6,700, and he was. But you know, I mean, I guarantee you his style doesn't always work because he's having to throw out a lot of money.
That's the first time we ever saw anybody actually that happen.
Yeah, well, 3 12s in a row was just unbelievable.
Well, and to have money on it,
and to have a lot of money
each time,
and have a lot of money on it. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty crazy, actually. A lot of fun, though. A lot of fun watching. Just wish I had.
Well, just the table was really positive.
Yeah.
Everybody was having a good time.
Yeah, because the ATS hit on that table a couple of times.
Yeah, it did.
And that was why we had such a good session. And then.
But I was never up. I was never up for $10 on it. Oh yeah, no, I was. I was up $10 one time.
And then there was the lady that was rolling. That she had 2 great back-to-back rolls.
Yeah, there was a lady at stick right,
and
she actually had a good.
We walked up. We walked up when she was during her first roll, so we didn't play it. But then
we were able to catch her second.
When it came back around, she rolled 22 or 23 rolls, something like that. But she was pounding numbers. I mean, she wasn't hitting. You know, she didn't hit 3 11s and 2 3s. You know, where you're not making any money. She was hitting inside numbers, and yeah, no. And she hit an ATS. She hit half of the ATS. So, yeah, we made a ton. I made really good money on her because I didn't start at the mid-table minimum, and I pressed.
Yeah. No, she looked really good when we first got to the table. So then when she came back around for her second roll, and actually I think we stayed for her third roll, didn't we? Or
no.
Third roll? No.
No, we didn't.
But yeah, she was doing well. We noticed it.
Well, we noticed that her, I guess, husband or boyfriend was at the other table in the exact same position on the other table. But we never did see him roll. So
I don't think he was as good as her.
Probably not.
Because she had all the chips. She had a ton of chips in front of her. He didn't have hardly any in front of him at his table. But, you know, we all know it's about discipline.
Yeah, but LAUBERGE... and it wasn't just her. We made money on other people too, because I didn't roll at LAUBERGE either. You didn't roll there either.
No, I didn't really roll this trip at all.
Yeah.
Well, just that one last time just now.
We could have skipped that one.
Yeah.
So after LAUBERGE.
Yeah, so LAUBERGE was another
hour and a half,
maybe. And then we went over to Golden Nugget.
Well, I remember getting back to Golden Nugget right around 4 o'clock because then we got to pick up
the rice cooker.
Well, we got the rice cooker. Then we checked in
the hotel, and then went down and started to play again. And then actually had a good afternoon session. The table wasn't too crowded, and again, everything was fairly positive.
Yeah, I didn't make as much at Golden Nugget as we did at LAUBERGE, but still, positive table time. Walking away with money is always incredible.
No, and then we just got to be social. We had dinner and then we played again after dinner.
Had a free dinner.
And then, yeah, the waitresses were coming by real quick, so we just drank and played and had a good time and was, I don't know, paying attention.
Yeah. We actually kind of did what we kind of said we were going to do this time.
Yeah. I think we just were casually getting into it, and then we got into it, and then we recognized it wasn't going to last forever, and then got out of it and left. And every time we did that, we were positive. And every time we did that, we left with a little bit of money. So by leaving with a little bit of money, you know, 5 different times,
it adds up a little bit.
That adds up to another positive
one of
trip.
those times was a big chunk for both of us.
Yes, we should have just stopped then and there. Yeah. I mean, it's still a roller coaster, and because you can, well, the swings will be if you lose.
Yeah.
You know, if you lose it could be anywhere from a quarter to 50 to 100 to 150 or more, just depending on.
There was a couple times we both lost a few $100s on a single roll. You know, it's tough when you put out.
Well, we were finally pressing aggressively,
and it's tough when you put out. Even when there were times we had a couple $100, 220, 240, depending on what it was, and 7 out. You know, and I mean that's tough when you're not even getting a couple of hits.
No,
you know, if you have 120 out there and you get a 60.
Have to be more descriptive.
You get a. Well, I'm just saying, if you have $120 in bets total, and at least you get one of your numbers hits, and you get $60. Well, now all of a sudden I don't have 120 at risk. I've only got 60 at risk, and
so you're talking about 2 bets at 60 each.
Sure. However you want to play with it. I'm just saying that.
Well, if one hits, you win 60. Then
Right.
That means you got to have.
I'm just
a $60
saying
bet.
it's tough when you've got 220 or whatever out there, and the point gets established. You put those bets up, and then the next roll is a 7.
Oh yeah, no,
that just kills you.
I thought we were talking about our successful trip.
Well, we were, but I mean, there were some 0.7 outs that hurt. I remember specifically going, "Ow, that hurts." You know, I mean, you were talking about the roller coaster. It is. I mean, you know.
No, yeah, no. I don't think I was on many of those. But yes, they hurt. But I mean, I was taking my time. You know, I was trying to set myself up. The times I was losing money was after the roll had been going on, and I'd paid for most of those bets. You know, so I had recouped my money, so it was turning into house money. So it wasn't so hard. It was hard just because it was a lot of money. I mean, you're not up 200 anymore. You're even.
Right.
You know, or up 175. Now you're down. Down a quarter. But that's the deal. I mean, it's paying attention to what's going on at the table and minimizing your exposure and maximizing your possibilities on, when certain numbers are coming out. I don't.
Yeah, because that, like, one lady this morning, she was pounding 5s. I mean, she must have hit 5 or 6 of them in one.
But she was a random roller.
Yeah, well, she was trying to set them and flick them, but yeah,
dice is not.
But
that's nothing.
She definitely was not good.
No, just because someone sets the dice doesn't mean they're any good.
Yes, I understand that, but I was saying she did set it. She did kind of have a toss. She just wasn't very good at it.
Good enough to worth mentioning.
Well, I actually brought her up because it was funny, because I was straight out and I was just flicking dice because everybody else was.
You were out of position.
And so I was just gonna roll, just roll. And so I was, and from straight out, it's when you're straight out, it's not that hard to get the dice to go off the table. And one did go off, and everybody called for the same dice. And I'm like, no, give me new ones.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, you know, I don't want everybody touching my dice, you know, because if it falls on the ground, somebody's got to pick it up, then they got to pass it to the stick man or the dealer, and then the dealer has to pass it to the box man. Got to get checked, and then all of a sudden everybody touched my dice. So I got 2 new dice, and then she goes, oh, I've never thought about it like that. That kind of makes sense. And then I rolled a 7.
No, I was going to say, the reason it happened like that is because you explained it.
Yeah, if I hadn't explained myself.
If you haven't explained it, you would have been fine.
But maybe we now have made 2 converts, maybe.
No, see, that was you jinxed yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole, you can't explain the game at the game.
Yeah. Especially when you're the one, especially
Not
when
you're rolling.
Especially when you're setting yourself up to roll 7. I mean, that's...
No, you need to stay focused. You need to stay in the zone, paying attention to your shit, not communicating with other people.
Yeah.
I'm wagging my finger at you.
Yeah.
But live and learn.
Well, it's hard not to talk to somebody when they talk to you, but yeah. I do kind of.
It can be, yeah. Well, then obviously she doesn't know etiquette if she's talking to the shooter.
Right.
For as much as you think she was setting the dice and knowing the game. Now, what you haven't said is the reason you thought she could be possible was because her boyfriend was setting the dice and throwing the dice. He was at stick left 1, and he rolled a couple times very well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she showed up late, and then she started setting the dice. And like, oh, they're a couple.
Well, I mean, you could tell she wasn't as good, but you know, you hope that she's good enough with some lady luck.
But I mean, she knew how to bet, and obviously they were a couple. And
well, you know,
they were a craps gambling couple.
You know, you say they were, and you say that she knew how to bet. She knew their bets that they made.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I was noticing was, because there was another guy earlier at that table that was also setting and was rolling, you know, trying to be a thrower. And it's funny is over all these years, whenever we do see people that set and you know or you know look like they've learned how to pitch dice as best as you can, they always seem to be terrible gamblers, terrible bettors.
Yeah, so they're just good at throwing the dice, and they don't know the proper way to make bets.
I mean, if you think about it, we were just like that 5 or 6 years ago when we first started. You know, we were putting table minimums up for our bets every time, and we were sitting there, and we might have a 20 or 30 toss roll,
and we had no money up there whatsoever.
And everybody else is making a ton of money, and we were making chunks of $14 a time. And I've noticed that people that are rollers don't seem to know how to gamble and make bigger, you know,
press
their bets, you know, or is that an incorrect? I mean, that's what I've noticed.
No, we've actually talked about this when we were rolling well. We were talking about how it was going to be on you to bet more because I didn't want the pressure of working all that other math when I wanted to just stay focused on rolling. I mean, we talk about just playing the pass line and just playing the bonus.
Yeah.
So that you can stay focused. You know, now it's a little more, we're comfortable at the table, so we can bet, you know, inside numbers, and then learn, you know, we've got our presses down that we want to do.
Well, and there's like
you're right.
Didn't we do some research, or we read somewhere there was something about the brain, because you know you're trying to let your muscles work from memory.
I forget where we read it, and it might have been in one of our dice control books, but I think it was in somewhere, because we started noticing it was in Vegas and in Blackhawk. There were a couple of dealers that would ask you math questions, would ask you, you know, to do some math. They like to figure out chips, like, hey, if I give you $5, can I do this for you, or something like that. And then you start thinking about that math problem, and then you wouldn't be able to think about dice anymore. And every time that ever happened to me, I 7'd out. And I want to say we read something about that too.
Yeah, I want to say we read, because you know, just focusing on the movement of throwing the dice is one part of the brain, and then as soon or not even maybe so much a dealer, but then you look up and you hit a 6 and you want to raise it, and you have to say, you know, press 1 unit, press 2 units, or full press. All of a sudden your mind is not on what you were just doing. You know, it switched. And I think that was something to do. We read something that said that, you know, it is obviously 2 different parts of your brain.
Yeah, no, it was, I forget where we found that, but yeah, that sounds very familiar. So, but yeah, so that all being said, yeah, when you're shooting, when other people are shooting, yeah, they're not betting normally, because I don't think that's not what they're focused on. They're focused on the dice.
Well, but I will say they had the same exact bets for everybody, whether they were rolling or other people were rolling. So, but I've just noticed that, you know, people who look like they're trying to be a roller have some of the worst bets, and I mean, a lot of times they were on the pass line and they weren't even putting odds up.
I did notice that a lot this weekend. A lot of people had pass line bets with no odds.
I mean, why are you even on the pass line then? I mean, if you're going to be on the pass line, the only reason to be on the pass line is so you get true odds.
Well, I would think so. To play odds.
Yeah, so you can play your odds, you know. But I don't get why you would just put the table minimum down on the pass line, 10 or 15, whatever it is, and not put any odds on it. And that's why I say I've just watched a lot of the rollers, and their bets and their systems are just...
I don't know that there's a system.
Well, there might not be a system, but...
No, people just have their go-to bets.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they watch somebody at the table get hot and lucky, and then all of a sudden they pick up that bet, and it's either good for them for that session or not. I mean, like, from yesterday's LAUBERGE, you know, playing high-low, you know, and playing the 12, you know, a lot of those people who won those bets are going to start playing those bets more often, just because they worked.
Where were we at that I told you about that guy that was playing don't?
You underestimate the power of the dark side.
And then finally got in the hook, and then he played positive. Was that at LAUBERGE?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, I want to say it was at LAUBERGE, but it doesn't really matter where exactly it was at. The point of the story was this guy gets next to me, and he's complaining to the dealer because he's like, well, I'm a don't player.
Give yourself to the dark side.
And I can't reach the DC and all this. And the dealer's like, well, sir, I'm sorry, you know, the spot's full. You know, this guy's already, there's already somebody here. And that went on for a little bit, and finally the older guy learned where the dealer wanted him to put his DC, and then the dealer would put it on the DC, and so all this and that. And he was playing DC, and man, he must have, I think I rolled 3 10s in a row at one point, and he had gotten his DC established and then put up like $300 odds like 3 times in a row, and I knocked him off. Bam, 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 bam. And that's always fun, especially when the DC player is right next to you and you're shooting.
Yeah.
And so finally, the guy that was next to the dealer on the hook leaves, and so he finally moves over there. And then the strangest things happened. The strangest things happened because he was playing DC, and he says he's a don't player.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
And he gets finally in the spot that he was complaining about not being in, and then what does he do? And I think it was pretty close after I had knocked him off 3 straight 10s, but I wasn't even rolling by this point. He switched to that side, and then he plays positive and has no idea on how to play positive.
That's wild.
But then he starts making money playing positive. He played positive for like 1 or 2 shooters, and he was betting big money just like because he was betting 300 on don't, you know, so he was putting up 200-300 on, you know, odds or whatever he was betting on, or place bets, and they were hitting, and I mean, he made a ton of money, and then he finally switched back to the don't.
You underestimate the power of the dark side.
And we left soon after that, so I didn't see how he finished out. But it was just hysterical. It was just weird that, you know, here's a DC player or a don't player. Oh,
give yourself to the dark side.
You know, switches to the corner, finally gets a spot that he's asking for, and then switches to, you know, playing positive with the table because the table was so hot. That was really, it was just seen everything, right?
I suppose. How long was he there?
I don't know. We left and he was still there. But he did have a T-shirt on with little kittens and a whole bunch of $100 bills on it.
Mm. That's something, I guess.
Yeah.
We were at Golden Nugget. Did we go back over to LAUBERGE last night? Or we just stay over at Golden Nugget?
We stayed at Golden Nugget.
Okay.
Oh no, we did walk over to LAUBERGE. So yeah.
Did we play though, or did we just walk there and come home?
I don't think we ended up playing.
I think we just walked and came back. I think
you had chips you had to cash. That's why we went.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no, they had their two tables going. They were $15, and they were both pretty full at LAUBERGE last night. And then we went back to Golden Nugget and played one last session until about 12:30, something like that.
Yeah.
And then again had decent wins to small wins about every session. And then this morning was amazing at the beginning. Was able to press my bets. There were a couple of rollers at the table that were consistent rhythm rollers, and they were hitting 6s and 8s. And I was able to press my bets up and capitalize on that for a little while.
And turn them off before you lost them too.
I was able to do that. I was finally able to press my bets, take a win and then turn them off, and then wait for the next shooter and then turn them back on already at a higher level, and then press them again at the beginning of that rollers. And I did that for about 3 shooters in a row. So by the time the third shooter was rolling, I had $150 6 and 8, and then he was hitting. It was perfect. I did that perfectly.
Well, if you had turned it off before you lost it right at the end, that would have been perfect.
It did 3 times. It was fine.
It did hit a good number of times.
No,
yes.
all of that was paid for. All of that was made money. No, but then after that, that's when
it went downhill.
Nobody, all of a sudden you're playing at quarters, and then every time you lose, you're losing 85 or more, depending on if you're playing a pass line with odds. As we talk about, points weren't hitting, so why are you playing pass line? Well, we're playing pass line because we want to play the bonus. Well, bonus wasn't hitting.
All right.
So, no, we got back to making stupid small mistakes this morning after we had gotten up, and then
gave a little bit back, but still overall very good trip.
No, we like I said, we didn't maximize our trip, but we definitely won. So
no, I mean it's free hotel, free dinner. Virtually the only expense
free
was
entertainment.
Virtually the only expense was gas.
No, another satisfying trip to Lake Charles. They're nice casinos. The LAUBERGE. I mean, Isle of Capri, we can take it or leave it. I mean, it's the C property, and then LAUBERGE being the B and Golden Nugget being the A.
Yes.
But they're all but for what they are. Nice.
Isle of Capri we say is a C, but we've been to some casinos on our trip to Biloxi that I would consider D's and F's.
Well, we've seen them in Vegas, and we've seen them everywhere.
Yeah.
Not in Lake Charles. Yes, we've seen F's all over the place. Downtown and on the Strip, and in Biloxi, and in Black Hawk, pretty much everywhere. And then as soon as we find out that they're there, then we don't go.
But sometimes, you like to dive down, dive bar down it a little bit,
Well, now you're talking about now you're talking about Baton Rouge.
Yeah. I did not like Baton Rouge. Well,
Baton Rouge had the half tub.
Yeah. That table is still makes me smile.
The Belle of Baton Rouge. I think more like the belly of Baton Rouge. Yeah, that place was needed a lot to be desired.
Well, where would you rate COUCHATTA then?
Well, actually, COUCHATTA and Isle of Capri are fairly similar. Even though COUCHATTA is not a boat and it's an Indian reservation, it's one story, and then they've got 16-foot tables, so they're very similar to Isle of Capri in that nature.
Sure.
Isle of Capri has has 2 tables, and then COUCHATTA has 5 tables.
Well, we say 5, but it's been a while since we've been there.
I don't see them.
I don't think they changed it either.
I don't think they get rid of tables, but because I've seen them when they've all been working on the weekends.
It's been, how long has it been since we've been to COUCHATTA? A couple of years?
Maybe a year, at least a year. I don't know. This is on a podcast, doing this kind of stuff is like telling people what's out the window. Because all you're doing is pondering and thinking. And then there's gaps in conversation because you're thinking.
Well, feel free to keep the...
and then eventually you'll say, oh yeah. And then nobody knows what you're oh yeah about.
Welcome to the way my mind works.
Not very podcast friendly.
Oh yeah.
C.
Well, if you're giving COUCHATTA a C, but if you were compared directly...
Well, no, I mean, I'd give them more like a B-.
Yeah, I was thinking like a C+ or a B-. Still, I would still put it slightly above Isle Capri, but not much. But definitely still below LAUBERGE.
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving them a higher grade. I'm giving COUCHATTA a higher grade over Isle of Capri because, A, they're all on one floor. I don't have to do stairs. I don't have to go up or down. But then again, I can swing it back the other way and say, well, Isle of Capri has covered parking and COUCHATTA doesn't.
True.
And that's why they're a step down. But they've got more craps tables than Isle of Capri, and lower limits.
Now I wonder if they're still running a $5 table.
They do.
One of the things you can always know you can count on, but we've always had trouble getting on that table.
Oh yeah. No.
And we're actually kind of patient people.
Not there. Well, and that's the problem. When you're waiting for a $5 table, it takes forever because it takes forever for people to lose on a low limit table. Their $300 is lasting twice as long.
Exactly. Yeah, because if they were on a $10 or $15 table, it's
At least see you in 15 minutes.
Yes.
No, that's the problem we had at COUCHATTA was it takes forever to get people off a $5 table. Unless it goes dark, and then everybody leaves, and then you don't want to be at a table that's that bad.
Right.
And that's when we started learning to play the don't.
Give yourself to the dark side.
And basically said, in order to play the don't, you had to have a bigger bankroll. No, this has been an evolution, of our gambling. I mean, we started way at the bottom, and it's taken us 6 years straight, to feel confident to bring a decent sized bankroll, play aggressively for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, we definitely can clock some time on a table over trips.
Yeah, well, it's comfortable.
You say it's comfortable, but there are no chairs.
Well, but you could stay at a craps table for 8 hours straight without a problem, couldn't you?
Yes. Well, bathroom breaks, but yes. unless I get one of those systems that you tie to your thigh.
I was gonna say that's the other thing to talk about. Sorry. That's the other thing to talk about. Location of restrooms to craps tables.
Caesars. I don't like where Caesars bathrooms are compared to where their tables are.
Oh no, yeah, that's
and
a hall.
Cosmo actually was very close.
Really close.
Yeah, they were very close.
No, but I mean, I was talking about where we were, so Lake Charles, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I started dreaming about Las Vegas again.
No, you started dreaming about bathrooms.
The problem with Golden Nugget is all the none of the. I mean, obviously
nothing's closed.
Nothing's on the floor. You know, you got to go outside the casino to find a bathroom.
Yeah. No, that's a hall, and then. Same thing with LAUBERGE. LAUBERGE is at least a little closer.
It's much closer, but you still have to go outside the casino. But the craps tables actually are fairly close.
They're on the same side, yeah.
Fairly close to the exit.
Yeah, and then aisle, it's all at the other end.
Oh yeah, it is all the way on the other end. Yeah.
And then I think same thing. Yeah, same thing for COUCHATTA. You got to walk out of the casino, back down the hall.
Yes, where the line for the big buffet is. Yeah.
Now, granted, I don't want the craps tables right next to the restaurant, so I don't need that either. But I'm just, convenience. I guess LAUBERGE would take it.
Yeah, LAUBERGE is the closest.
In Lake Charles. Yeah, and now other places. I mean, it's other places. Actually, I don't know that any are really that convenient.
I want to say Cosmo probably was the closest.
Cosmo's got them really close. Yes.
I want to say literally over 20 feet, and the exit's over there.
Yeah, there's some new ones because they're between check-in and I think the sports book or something like that. But Paris, Harrah's, Planet Hollywood.
Yeah, all those are good walk.
Bellagio, yeah, even Bellagio. You gotta. Well, that was what we talked about.
Bellagio is super far.
Well, not super far. You gotta go past the cage.
And then on the other side of that, yeah.
It's just beyond the cage. It's not too far. I want to say the old Monte Carlo, which is...
Oh, that was a good walk, too, yeah.
MGM Place.
That was
a far. And then Aria's actually pretty close. They're just on the back side because they're already up against the corridor.
Yeah. Oh, this podcast's really gone to the crap early.
Yeah. So anyway, there's some interesting bites for y'all.
Interesting things that had happened.
Yeah.
Well, I actually went Golden Nugget. I actually had. I did forget, but I was down like half my bankroll, and then I got the dice and I rolled and I ended up, and then we left after that because that was as good as it was going to get.
Right.
But I ended up after that because I rolled so well. I had 22 and 4 points.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And hit I think the small. So that was and I was 2 out of 5. I had a second roll that was like 14 rolls.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was your first 3 rolls sucked out.
My first 3 rolls were,
and then
I told you they killed me. I was 7 and out. I wasn't even. I knew I did it. It wasn't even the rest of it. It was me. I did it to myself. I shot myself 3 times. Yeah, no, that was terrible.
Beginning. And then your 4th and your 5th finally got to be good. You made up for those.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the 22 roll with 4 points was I made really good money on that one, and that one hit the ATS. So that one I did really well on. But yeah, I only rolled at Golden Nugget yesterday, and then this morning once, and that didn't go well. But
no.
Yeah, we really didn't. Well, we took a table where we could get in. We didn't necessarily worry about getting in our spots. If we could, we did, but that only happened once yesterday.
Well, and I've been more interested now into seeing who else is shooting. I think the more I'm really when I want to shoot is early. myself when I'm, you know, when there's nobody around, nobody's gonna mess with me. Otherwise, I can figure out the table, and I'll let other people go into, you know, stick one. I mean, that's the thing. If you're blocking up that spot, then you're not going to see anybody else who's there.
True.
So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at, where I don't want to take the position of somebody else. You know, if they're there to do the same thing we're doing. Yeah, I guess I've got a little more confidence in somebody else at the moment.
See, I have absolutely no confidence in anybody.
Or yourself?
Well, I have confidence in myself, but that doesn't always work out well.
No. I think you have overconfidence in yourself.
Yeah. Well, it kills me when I choose not to play a player. You know, like, I'll just buy in and somebody gets the die, you know, the next person gets the dice, and I'm like, all right, well, let me see how the table is. And then they'll roll, you know, 15, 18, you know, and you're like, oh, they pounded 6s and 8s. And then, you know, by the time it makes it back around, you're like, okay, well, this person rolled good last time. I'm going to go ahead and play them. And then, you know, 7 out, you know, 2 or 3 rolls.
Well, but see, you should be thinking about that as ourselves. We know that we're usually only good for 1 roll. So right. Other people would be good for 1 roll too. You know, not just because they're not us doesn't mean every roll they roll is good.
Well, no, I definitely get that.
So, you know, maybe, unfortunately, yeah, that was the roll and you missed it. Yeah, there's a lot of times. I mean, yeah, and that's, we've talked about just, I mean, all we want to do is, can you roll 15? We don't need you to roll 20.
Well,
just
if you could roll
15.
8 to 10 every time.
Well, as long as they were what we're on, but
yeah, and I'm included in this. It's the people that just roll 1 or 2, 3 rolls. That's what hurts.
Yeah. Well, and it splits up pretty evenly between people who look like it can roll and people who don't.
Yeah.
It can go both ways.
The dice gods are not. They
don't discriminate.
They show no favoritism. That is correct. That is correct. But overall, I really think it was a really good trip for us. I think we did make some mistakes, but I feel like we still, overall, we did what we wanted to do, and came out with money. You know, and that's
that's the true goal.
That is always the only goal, really.
But yeah, I think we were paying more attention, staying focused, staying disciplined, being fluid. You know, everything we've been preaching, we finally, well, I think it finally is ingrained in us. You know,
we're not having problems.
I turn things off more often now.
I need to get back on that again, but I think we don't have a problem executing. I think we understand how to play. It's just, you know.
Well, it is.
There still is a little luck involved.
I mean, you're right on the execution part of it, but in addition to execution is that turning things off, taking things down. You know, exposure. How long are you going to have that exposure out there? And I think that's the piece that I want to hone in on, is controlling that exposure. You know, being able to have the most out there to win. You know, having $150 6 and 8 is not easy.
No,
you know,
that's.
If you have an ulcer, you're going to be feeling things. You know, and especially if, you know, they've had the dice for 15 rolls and they've hit 3 of them, 3 8s already. You know.
Yeah. Do you stay on or do you turn off? You know.
You know, you finally got everything in position the way you've talked about having it. You know, the plan on paper is now in action. But then, you know, you got the gut.
Well, you know, I mean, that's the thing we've learned with as much practicing as we do.
We're talking about practice, man. I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice.
because, at home, we play with different sized banks just, sometimes just to do something different. We've played with $5,000 and $10,000 banks, and, you're betting, instead of $30 sixes and eights, you're betting $300 sixes and eights, and you're, pressing the 600 and then taking a hit and then pressing it to 1200.
Yeah.
We do those types of things at home because we want to be more and more comfortable at a table with those kind of chips.
Well, you got to know your numbers.
You got to know your numbers.
You can't let them make a mistake, and if they're not used to making those bets on a regular basis, then the odds of them getting it wrong are pretty good.
Well,
sometimes.
and I will say I find that most dealers don't know our bets when we first start with them.
What's really funny is, our last podcast, you were talking about how the craps dealers were the smartest dealers out there.
Well, they are. I was saying that they are very, very good, but there are so many
intricacies and bets.
Yeah. Well, and
there's a lot to it, and yes, you've got good and bad craps dealers. Overall, I think the craps dealers are a little more talented than the rest of the group, but yeah, the difference between a good craps dealer and a bad craps dealer,
that could seriously slow down a game.
Slow down a game and ruin your bankroll. Well, and just ruin your attitude.
But some of our bets are, you have to know the math.
Well, they're all bets where you've got to help the dealer do it once or twice in order for them to do it.
And then they'll know it, yeah.
You can't just assume they know things, because they don't.
I want some paper and pen to figure it out. My math is
Do you think he didn't see things correctly?
And that also could be, well, that's why I'm saying I might not have seen it right. And I don't know that the payout was 100 even.
We know that you have a vision problem.
I have a vision problem. I have a short-term memory problem. I'm all kinds of messed up.
So,
but it was.
Are you sure you were at the craps table?
Yes, I was at the craps table. But it was a bet. It was a denomination that I was not used to.
Yeah.
And so,
well, it probably wasn't proper.
Then that might have been the other thing, and maybe it was not proper. I don't know. And he only got paid once on it, so I didn't get to see it again. And I was trying to pay attention to my bets and everything that I was doing. But it was, I'm just saying that, as good as dealers are, sometimes people put bets out there that are hard to keep up with or hard to know what the payout is. When you've got a $50 high horn 12.
Horn high 12.
I'm a little dyslexic too. Throw that in with me being short memory loss and everything else. 5 divided by 4.
Vocally dyslexic.
I am. So, sometimes the numbers can get a little tough, but they usually are able to figure it out pretty well. The box man usually knows his numbers the best. Should be
which is everybody.
That should be your most experienced person, right?
Well, they rotate.
Well, yeah, they do rotate. They should all know their numbers.
They should all know their numbers. But again, some are better than others.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that we can need to talk about, or is this an open and shut little trip to the casino?
Open and shut trip to the casino. But I will say once again, as much as we played, some of the tables are blurring together again for me. But great trip. Coming back with a nice chunk of money is always great. Getting well taken care of at Gold Nugget is always great.
Yeah.
And having a few good rolls is always good. And walking out with money is what it's about.
It's goal number 1, and we hit goal number 1. So there we are. And then now we'll regroup and start planning for the next trip, which hopefully, maybe that can be in 3 weeks.
Quite possibly could be. 3 weeks seems to be 21 seems to be my number.
I think that might be what we do. So, well, cool. Well, thanks everybody for listening, and we will be with you soon.
Cheers.
Coming up on our next episode, we continue with our next casino road trip. post-trip reports from the casinos of Lake Charles, Louisiana, the Isle of Capri, LAUBERGE du Lac, and the Golden Nugget. The Red Eye Gamblers, thank you for your time, and hope you got a little something out of this week's podcast.
Here's to rolling 7s on the come out, and may your 6s and 8s always be hard. Cheers.